Welcome to Table Talk. It's Saturday, the start of a 3-day weekend here in the UK, so looking forward to that. It's going to be nice actually. Usually it's a bit wet at a bank holiday, but this one's going to be good. Shall we get on with it? This is Model Kit Stuff. My name's Jason. Run titles. Right, hello everyone. Got a bit of a Master and Commander theme running today. All will be revealed as we go through. We've got quite a bit to talk about one way or another this week. So, first of all, a big welcome to you all. I hope you've been having a great week. And a big welcome to all of my new subscribers this week. Thank you for joining. It is greatly appreciated. I enjoy doing this because of the people that subscribe and all the people I meet along what's been a nearly 5-year journey with this channel, which started out as sort of helping people that were coming into the modelling hobby as the pandemic started to take hold, and also to do something with my time. And has ended up being something I enjoy as much as the modelling hobby itself, which, you know, I never thought I'd find anything that I could say would compete, but I do really enjoy making these videos. And now I've sort of relaxed into my groove, my style, and know what I want to do. It's quite natural to me now doing this. If you go back and look at some of my early videos, I was talking like this to be professional. It was like when people are interviewed on the news. So yeah, it's a lot better and relaxed now than it ever was before. But we're always continuously improving. We put some little tweaks on the titles over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, there's always something you can improve on, do better, maybe make look different, whatever it's going to be. So, like I say, lots going on, 3-week weekend, which is always good from a modelling point of view, and lovely weather coming. And that means that people are getting out in the gardens, and if you're a member, you'll have seen in the social group some people sharing some images of the gardens, which is really nice to see, especially from people that are all over different places of the world. You get a real impression of how we're all similar. We've got the same loves and interests and passions. So yeah, so with that, that's my cue to give you a bit of an update on my garden. So let's do that. Well, things have shot up in the garden since you last had a look. We've had a week of rain and then a week of sun, and everything's gone a bit crazy, which is great. So, 2 tomato plants, they are going strong. And I'm nipping out pretty much, there we go, nipping out and getting these things to shoot straight up, which is what we're looking for. So they're looking good and strong. I'm happy with those. My shallots are looking really healthy, they've come on a lot. My round yellow cucumbers, however, won't be seeing any of those this year. And then on this side, my herbs have gone crazy. So I've got some onions planted there, they're looking good. I've got garlic there. Still not seeing anything from the ginger, which worries me a little bit. But my herbs have gone mad. So I've got 2 different types of thyme here. Sage, and then fighting for survival is my mint. God, it smells good though. My chives are just about to flower. You can eat the flowers, so that looks quite pretty on your dinner plate. And rosemary is also flowering at the moment, and I believe you can eat them as well. So that's rhubarb. We've had the first batch of rhubarb, We made rhubarb flapjacks, which are really nice. We've had problems with squirrels digging about in this, but these seem to be growing. I've forgotten what they are, to be honest, so I'm not quite sure. But my spinach is doing well, but where we had squirrels digging, not quite so well. But yeah, this is looking okay, and these here are looking okay, whatever they are. So yeah, all good. I should have left the labels on in the soil, but I've forgotten. Also had a problem with squirrel digging here, so just put a temporary mesh cover on just to keep the squirrels off while these, because they dug the plants up, little gets. And don't know what that is, bird or something's dropped that. So gooseberries, I'm not seeing any flowers, which concerns me. But anyway, there are flowers on the strawberries over there, and my clematis is about to flower, so you can see lots of buds on that. And then as I look over here, someone dumped this in the car park next to the house, so we planted it, and last year it didn't do much, and this year it's gone great guns. My zebra grass is starting to shoot up, so lots of things breaking into life. The bluebells are up, the Spanish bluebells unfortunately, not British ones. And always a joy at this time of year is my Solomon's seal. For those of you who perhaps didn't watch the channel a couple of years ago, the Solomon seal comes out of the back garden of the family home in Rudgwick, where my grandfather and his siblings all grew up, and then behind that is a black bamboo that I planted when my grandfather passed away, which was 5 years ago this month. Oh, that's gone quick. Hostas, this one is beautiful, and it's coming up just behind this one here. This one's elephant's ear, I think it's called. Both have beautiful purple flowers. This ground cover was a tiny plant that cost me 50p about 4 years ago, and look at it, it's going mad, and we have to thin it out now, but it does look gorgeous when it's flowering. So yeah, and ferns are just coming into life. When you look, you can see there is lots of new growth, so it's about to erupt into new leaves and will look stunning. And well, that is the garden this week. So there you go, garden's looking good, unless of course you're a round yellow cucumber, in which case it's a total disaster. I don't know what's gone on there, not happy. Maybe it needed to be under glass, but hey ho. Don't have space for a proper greenhouse, as much as I perhaps like one, but you know, we even get a good crop of tomatoes. They're against the fence in the corner, which is a bit of a sun trap from midday onwards, so they get plenty of warmth there, and they're also protected when it's a bit breezy and frosty, so it's as good a location as I can get. And we got some really nice tomatoes off them in previous years. Last year was rubbish for everything. So yeah, gotta say, happy with the garden, except for the squirrels and the birds that keep digging stuff up. I've got a bird, I'm watching it now as I'm talking, and this morning it's been digging stuff up. It must be building a nest, and I've gone and had to put a mesh over my spinach to stop it getting dug up. Flipping thing. It's just landed on the mesh now to see if it can get in. It's quite funny to watch. Right, anyway, never mind that, we're digressing already. So, a few things to talk about this week, not least Master and Commander. So that's sort of coming up in multiple ways this week. So let's start off by talking a little bit about that, because I don't have a news section anymore. We'll do it at the front end. So I've discovered that there is a plan for another Master and Commander film, which I think if you've ever seen the film Master and Commander, then you'd be absolutely on board with another film. If you haven't seen Master and Commander, what are you doing? Go and watch it. It's up there with some of the best wartime films ever made, and it's in my top 3 wartime films. So I have quite a few films that cover war-related subjects that I've really enjoyed, but my top 3 would be, not necessarily in this order, Band of Brothers, Master and Commander Far Side of the World, and Zulu, which I think is a brilliant film, and probably the film I've watched more than any other. And I've watched some films a lot. I mean, I saw Titanic when that came out at the cinemas 8 times, and I've seen it several times since. So there are some films that I just love and I watch over and over again, and Zulu is definitely one of them. It's an absolutely cracking film. Master and Commander, however, really, really well put together. Some of the action scenes, the fighting scenes, are used at Portsmouth Historic Docks now in one area. So there's all sorts of bits and pieces in there which are really enjoyable, historically fairly accurate as well. So I was overjoyed to find out that there is at least a loose plan for a film, but not a sequel, a prequel to Master and Commander, which is interesting, because in the film they say that the captain has been had served on Surprise as a midshipman, and he's carved his name in and stuff, and they even give a date which is before Surprise is launched, which is a little bit of a faux pas. But obviously the Speedy in the novels is not the speed. Sorry, I'm saying Speedy. That's because of this. We'll talk about the book in a minute. The Surprise in the novels is not quite the same as the Surprise in the movie, which isn't, and neither of those are quite the same to Surprise in real life, which is a captured French ship. And originally, when she was made fit for service within the Royal Navy, she was actually upgraded with carronades because it meant less work modifying the ship hull and the gunport openings. If they'd put long guns in, they'd have to have done some work to do that. So that's why she ended up with carronades. But of course, in the books, she's long guns, and in the film, she's long guns. So there is a prequel. Apparently the script is written and they're looking for a director. So who knows how long that's going to take. So they're not even started filming yet. I don't even think they've got a director yet. So you're probably another 2, 3, 4 years away from a film. And when you consider, what is the film, 2003? Is it 2003? 2008? Something around that area. We've had to wait a fair old time for another one, which is a real shame because it's a cracking movie. Now that leads me nicely on to giving you a little update on where Chris and Vanguard models are with the development of their surprise kit, when I spoke to him very briefly this week through email exchanges rather than actual speaking, what he basically said was he hadn't got to his final prototype hull yet. So that's where as I understand it, where all his work and time and effort goes. So the more time and effort he puts in, the easier it becomes for us as modelers to build it, which is his aim, a laudable aim, I would say. And then he has to take pictures of that gets sent to the person that's gonna actually build the final prototype, fully paint it and so on, so that pictures can be taken for the instruction manual. So that's where they are. Haven't quite done final hull prototype, though there are some pictures that have been released on the Vanguard Models Facebook page showing some of that development work. So here's some of those pictures, so you can see what they've been messing around with. So that gives you a view as to where they are and where things are. So I'm already in HMS Surprise mode. It's a model. I've wanted to build a model of Surprise ever since Master and Commander film came out. I've actually never read the books, so they've gone on my birthday wish list this year, because I really should read the books. So yeah, I've really wanted to make a model for some time, so knowing that there's one coming out from Vanguard is pretty exciting, because I also know it's going to be pretty accurate, as accurate as you can get commercially. So I was thinking about it, and one thing I've never done with any model ship, and would make it a bit different to the other builds that I'm currently doing, the Absolute Beginners series, is I've never done any lighting. And there is there's a fabulous scene in the film where they set up a little fake raft of barrels to get the Acheron to follow that rather than follow the ship, and they lose them again. And you see it all lit up at night, and I'm just thinking, you know what, it'd be nice to be able to light it up at night. So I have bought from Vanguard Models a lighting set, not expensive, and it has in there candle flickering bulbs, as well as some constant on bulbs. So you could do like the lower decks constant on, so you've got a constant glow from the mass of candles illuminating the space, and then you could do flickering candles for some of the stern Gaahleri stuff, for the captain's cabin and that sort of stuff. I think, if my memory serves, on Surprise, it's like a great cabin, so it's one larger cabin rather than lots of, it's not like HMS Victory where there's more space. But we will see. So it means that I will have to do some planning on wiring before we do any planking. So that will be really interesting. So as soon as Surprise is available, we will definitely be reviewing it, and I will be immediately starting a build. So you need to be saving up your pennies so you can build along and be ready to pounce on that kit when it comes out. That needs to be the plan, I think. So with that in mind, I got the lighting set. I've started doing a little bit of research for myself around Surprise, what a configuration is going to be. But then ultimately we get taken what is given to us by Vanguard in the kit, and then we have to apply one of three directions from that point on. This is where it starts to grow as a project. So you've got your base kit, then we have to think, right, am I doing Surprise historically accurate with the coronades? And I believe Chris said to me that there would be an option, so you could do it with coronades, or you could do it with long guns as in the book, or the third way is to go with the film version. So the film version's got a couple of big brass guns on the back, which get turned into stern chasers at one point, and but they're brass rather than black when you watch the movie. So are we going to make some alterations for that, because the actual Surprise used in the movie is an actual ship built in 1970, I think HMS Rose originally. and it is a reproduction of a period ship. So there will be things there that won't be right. So there'll be metalwork and bracings and stuff like that that won't be right, and that sort of stuff. And there'll be variations to it. So you might get the kit and find Surprise is in letters above the window, and then you look at the film and they go, actually there's a coat of arms above the window and it says Surprise below the window. So that's different to the kit, and that's different to how it historically was. So you then have to make some decisions about what you're going to do. I'm probably going to go with the book version, which allows you to be as historically accurate as possible, but use the long guns, which wouldn't be correct, and what have you. But then if there was figures for it, I'd want those to be movie related figures, if that makes sense. So that brings me to something we'll talk about later in the Q&A section. So yeah, that's what's going on. So my headspace has been quite Master and Commander this week. So before we carry on with more of this week, let's talk about what we got up to last week. So we started off the week on Monday with at 1:16 scale Panzer 1, the early version with the machine guns on, aimed at African service really from the box art. Really nice kit actually, and not too big for 1:16. I do have other 1:16 kits. I'm not sure that I think that's the only unmade one I've got. I've still got my Kubelwagen, which is up in the attic and actually has the 1:16 Tamiya Rommel figure with it as well. So it made a nice little diorama, and it built that a long time ago now. So I keep looking at it and thinking I need to revisit that with my new skills and improve on it, and rework it. And then I have got a 1:16 Tamiya King Tiger tank, radio control with engine sounds and gun sounds and track moving sounds and all that sort of stuff. That's not quite finished. Just got the turret to do, but I can't get the tracks. The tracks keep catching and I can't work out why. So when you spent 600 quid on something, it's a bit frustrating. But anyway, I've got it all there. And it's considerably smaller than that, so it's a decent size, not too big. For me, 1:16 scale models are just way harder to build than any other, because not from the point of view of assembly or anything like that. I mean, it makes no difference, and maybe even easier larger scale. But in terms of painting and weathering, on the one hand you've got the opportunity to detail more easily, but on the other hand weathering gets much more difficult, because you've got to be able to get the weathering to look right at that scale, which is much easier to do on a smaller model. So I think it's a nice kit, and I'm looking forward to building it. I've got a couple of resin figures to go with it, so that'll be a nice little project when we get around to it. So that was Monday. Wednesday we had part 20 of our Sherborne build. Someone strangely on episode 19 asked the question, are you going to finish it? Like somehow they expected it all in one video. It's not like the Sherborne videos have not been coming out regularly, so I don't know what that question was about. Anyway, part 20 came out the day after he asked that question. So we were on booms? I think we might have been on booms. Yeah, we did mass, then we do booms, then we do spars, and then we bring it all together as memory serves. And then you're on rigging. So as I look at it, it looks like I've got lots of videos, but I reckon what I've got is lots of very short bits on the rigging, there's lots of stop-start because you film a little bit, then you've got to repoise the camera, film a little bit, repoise the camera. So I am still on rat lines, not done much with it. I had an hour's session on rat lines, so probably did 8 or 9 rat lines. And I've put the forestay on, which is the one with the 5-eye dead-eye. So yeah, that's looking good. Members have seen a brief photo of that. We're nearly there, but I've been concentrating on getting a couple of other things across the line, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then Friday, we had part 2 of the barge, and much to my surprise, the barge is a 3-parter. I thought it was going to be a 2-parter, so I dumped everything I had remaining in my editing software, and I had 2 hours of film, and I hadn't included final photographs and a final wrap-up for the video. So it's actually a 3-parter. So I'm not quite sure how far part 2 takes us, but part 3 will finish it. And talking of finishing it, there you have it. She is done. Splendid model, really fun experience, something a little bit different. Yeah, and I managed to pull off, if you look at it that way, I managed to pull off having the oars angled backwards and, you know, like it's being rowed, but clearly rowed by some ghosts because there's no figures for it. You know, she would look amazing with a crew, and you know, maybe an admiral clutching his belongings on his knee. I think it'd look fairly cool. I still think at some point I'd like to add a flagpole and a flag, but for the purposes of the build and time and other builds I've got, we've called this one complete. But I'm really happy with how it's come out. I enjoyed building it. So yeah, very nice little model, and yeah, I'm very, very happy with it. So she's finished, and you will see the final part of her probably in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, that is what happened last week. And that leads nicely into what was on the bench. So on the bench, we primarily were focused on getting 2 of my builds over the line, which we managed to do. So the barge you've already seen, that's done, that's completed. That's now on display on my shelf next to the schooner Pickle, which is probably the most famous ship no one's ever heard of. So that's done, dusted. We can take that away. You won't be seeing that again. The other one was the Elizabethan, which is also done. And looks quite good actually, all in all. This was a peaks and troughs build. So last time we talked about it, I said this is classic, you know, would have been a shelf queen. But actually, when I put the last few rigging notes on and the sails on, I ended up thinking she looked quite decent at a distance. Yeah, it's not my finest work, but then I was just having fun with it. You know, it wasn't a serious build, if you like. I mean, the kit itself is a bit fanciful, I think, and so my paintwork's a bit fanciful as well. But you know, it was fun. So there you go. There's your stern and side on, and we used most, not all, of the flags. There were some issues with the flags. I mean, on the artwork on the box, they have the flags going in 2 different directions for a start, but they also have some flags which come off the ends of the spars on little rods. Well, you put them on those rods and they're gonna just droop down, so that wouldn't look right when the rest of them are billowing. And so there's all sorts of, you know, silliness going on in this. But yeah, you know, we've put two different colours of rigging line on. So we've got standing and running rigging. We've got the anchors sort of slung out there and what have you. You know what, if you take it as a bit of fun rather than, you know, a historical accurate kit, then you can have a bit of fun with it. But yeah, so it is done. I enjoyed building it at times, and I couldn't wait to stop building it at other times. But yeah, so Elizabethan was finished, and that was what was on the bench. So I'm focusing on Sherborne now. I want to get Sherborne over the bench, over the line in the next fortnight, so we can then crack on with the next build. So just a reminder, because I do keep getting asked this question, so people must be missing it. The next build is the Lady Eleanor, which is a fishing smack. It's a commercial ship, so we can do a little bit of fun things with it that you can't do with military ships, because military ships are always kept in good order. Whereas commercial ones, you know, not necessarily the case. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to start going outside of the box. I think we talked about this a week or 2 weeks ago. So Lady Eleanor is next. If you want to build along, go and get yourself a kit, and then that will then take us on to the following two kits, which step it up a little gear. So the Lady Eleanor is another novice kit, one of the older Vanguard models kits, so not quite got the same finesse and polish that the current kits have as they come out, but that's a good thing, because what I'm trying to do is show you how to tackle things. So building a kit that's a bit more like a lot of kits that are commercially available is a helpful thing. I suspect it will still be not a problem for us, and no rat lines. I keep saying that, don't I? Everyone must think I've got something against rat lines. I haven't. I have done rat lines before, just don't enjoy them. It is what it is. So yeah, Lady Eleanor next, and we're going to have some fun because we've got the figures for it. We're going to do that as part of the build, and what have you, and then we're going to move on to the Grecian, and that we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment, and then the Adder, which we talked about when we did first impressions a couple of weeks ago. So that was what's on the bench. I want to get Sherborne finished, and then we can get the Junkers back on and get going again with Scharnhorst. So I've got virtually no material for either of those two builds, so I need to bank some material to be able to get videos out. So the way the videos are going to run on a Friday, the way I see it is, the next one will be Elizabethan. That will probably finish that build, and that's my classic group build entry done well within that time frame. And then the following week will be Barge Part 3, which will complete the barge build. So that is 2 weeks. Then we can have a couple of weeks of Sherborne whilst I'm getting material together. 1 week on the Junkers, 1 week on the Scharnhorst, and like I said, I'm probably going to do something like maybe the big guns or something like that, so something I can do quickly and make content fairly quickly. If I can get 2 to 3 hours worth of content on Scharnhorst, then I've got a couple of weeks of video footage. So I just need to get ahead. So the fact that I've got a lot of content for Sherborne to put up is helpful, and it also means that I can do some work on the Lady Eleanor, so that when Sherborne finishes we just carry on. What I'm in two minds about doing is whether we're going to carry on and keep it as a continuation of the series and just change the ship. So at the moment it goes out as Vanguard Sherborne wooden modelling for absolute beginners. We could just change it to Vanguard Lady Eleanor wooden model for, and it be episode 25 or 26 or whatever it is, rather than start again episode 1 and have it as a separate one and keep it in the same playlist. My gut feel is to do that so that all of the absolute beginners builds are in one playlist. So I think that's how I'll probably go, but I've not fully decided yet. So yes, anyway, that was what was on the bench. Right then, stash adds. Well, nothing in the way of models, but I have had 1 or 2 little bits and pieces delivered. So we've already talked about the lighting kit, which I intend to have on Surprise. Also from Vanguard, we were just talking about the Grecian. So the Grecian will be the first American wooden ship kit I've ever made. Although you can do it in Royal Navy service. So on the Vanguard site, if you look at accessories, I think it is, they've got all sorts of bits and pieces you can buy, from figures to furniture and different types of blocks and stuff. And there is a flag you can get for the Grecian in US service. So it's printed both sides, and as you hold it up to the light, it's perfect. There's no mismatch in the print or anything like that. So I got a flag because I thought it'd be nice to have the flag there, and the paint set. So the paint set for Grecian, I've actually got those in the Vanguard paint set that we reviewed a little while ago, a few weeks back, but I didn't have the deep green, which is what Vanguard have chosen as the colour match for the green. A lot of the interior space is green. So I bought that, and that does come with something that you don't get in the paint set, which is some varnish. So everything on a wooden model ship should be matte, because when you scale things down, things get matter and ironically also smoother. So it doesn't get more glossy as it gets smoother, it gets matter. So it's all to do with light and that sort of stuff. So this is 3rd generation acrylic matte varnish. So I'm interested to try that. You get quite a decent amount of it. What is it? 100 mils. So yeah, so I got that so that when we build the Grecian, we can use products that you can also get from Vanguard at the same time, and we can talk about how they perform. I haven't tried them yet. It'd be really interesting to see how they perform against my preferred paints. So for wooden ships, I generally will go Caldercraft or which are the Admiralty paints, or I will go enamel paints. The one trouble with enamel paints is they do tend to go a bit satin on wood, whereas these, maybe they'll you can matte them down. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can matte down enamels as well. So I don't know. I've got a modelling book upstairs, which several wooden kit builds in there, and they've all been done in enamels. So you know, and enamels have always been good to me. The Caldercraft one, I'm told are paint match, but I've always thought they were a little dark, to be honest. So anyway, so that was purchased a little while ago. We talked about the fact that we were going to do a Mark 1, Mark 2 Matilda build. Maybe sort of September time, for members only. So it'll be a members only group build. And it's going to be wheeled vehicles or something like that, or something with wheels on, or the theme will be wheels anyway. Don't know. I don't know exactly how I'm going to frame it, but anyway. So for the 3D printed resin Matilda 1, it doesn't have any decals. So I bought these from Accurate Armour, which are the decals that they supply in their Matilda 1 kit, which I built many years ago. I recognise the decals instantly. They're not the best decals in the world, but they're still better than no decals. So we got that. And I also got some through mould, the flat type, because there's two different types of track, through mould track links for the Tamiya Matilda 2. So they're all white metal, and you get a coil of wire to pin them all together. Now I believe you can use burnishing liquid to blacken them, and they look quite good. I've never tried it on white metal, to be honest, so that will be interesting. But the track links look absolutely fabulous. So through mould Matilda flat type tracks, get 150 links in total. So I don't know whether that gives me many spares or not, to be honest. And it'll be the first time I've actually ever built through mould track links. I have done individual track links many times before, but generally I've always been plastic aftermarket ones. So to use the metal ones will be interesting. I'm interested to know. I mean, it's going to add a little bit of weight to the model. So that we got that. Also, we got this, which is why I kept saying Speedy at the start, because on the cover is the Vanguard's model of HMS Speedy on the front. And Speedy is referred to quite a bit in this book. So I thought, because I've got the Speedy kit in my stash, it's actually the first Vanguard model I got, I thought it would be handy to get somebody else's take on little improvements. So this book, Ship Models from the Age of Sail, Building and Enhancing Commercial Kits, and it works on the basis that the majority of wooden model ship kits that get built are actually from commercial kits, and rather than, you know, there are people obviously who get plans and make their own plank on bulkhead, or even plank on rib. There are people that do that, but they're definitely in the minority. And so, yeah, being able to take what, it's always fascinated me with modelling, is taking the base kit and building on it. So not just with wooden ship kits, but with all genres of modelling. You know, what more can you do with it? So you'll have heard me say many times, you know, you should try and animate your model as much as possible and breathe some life into it. And it's possibly why I was never big into aircraft, because you're a bit limited with aircraft compared to pretty much any other genre. So if you build a model battleship, you can turn the guns and you've automatically animated it, started telling a story, it's doing something. Why is it doing it? You build a plane and it's sat on its wheels and it's, you know, it's a parked plane, you know. So you could put it on a stand and have it looking like it's in flight, and then it's a plane in flight and still not got much story. There are some clever people that manage to do aircraft dioramas, and then you get a bit of story and a bit of animation. So that's why I quite like the idea of adding the Albion fueler to the Mark 1 Hurricane, and then the figures, which should turn up any day. They've been ordered and I've paid for them to be delivered. So then we've got a little diorama, and that tells a story. But planes, aircraft, and I'm sorry for those of you who really just like building aircraft, they're a bit boring. As much as they're more colourful than ships, and Paula, my partner, she likes the fact that the aircraft are more colourful. When we went round Telford, that was her comment. The aircraft all look colourful, whereas ships are all grey. Fair comment to a point, but you can animate it. You can tell a story, and it's the same with trucks. You know, you can open the doors. You can open the engine bay. There's things you can do to make it come alive. It's much easier to put that on a base and put a couple of figures with it, and it comes to life. So my view is that animating models is easier if you're building something that's not an aeroplane. So this bill is about how you can build on commercial kits, or at least that's my understanding. It actually only turned up today, so I've not read it, but there's quite a bit of referencing of Speedy in there, so that'd be helpful when I come to build it, because I'm always looking for how do you take what's been supplied and improve it, make it more accurate, make, you know, I have got some stuff winging its way from Siren in the US. I like their stuff, so I've built their lanterns in the past. And it's all stuff that just enhances what you get. And there is things that you can do, and you've not really seen me doing it yet, but we will do as we start getting into the build 3 and build 4. You know, we start adding bolts and rivets and extra ropes and little details and that sort of stuff to build it up. And we've got figures as well, and it's always a tricky one, figures though, on wooden ships, because I've seen models where you've got figures on, you've got someone climbing the rigging, and you've got someone at the ship's wheel, and you've maybe got some marines that look like they're trying to get a bit threatening in the fighting tops, and then it's got no sails on, and you go, well, none of that would be happening if there was no sails on. She'd be in port, and you're much more likely to see the crew putting provisions on than anything else. I mean, I have seen a diorama of that happening, and it looks spectacular. But yeah, figures can be a double-edged sword. They're great for giving you an idea of size, and, you know, get things into proportion. But at the same time, you've got to think about your figures. So yeah, so having one set of gun crew at one rigged gun on an Admiralty style model where all the rest of the cannons aren't rigged, I think you can get away with that, because you're sort of showing how it would work. And in the same way as the ship doesn't really go to sea with great big holes in the deck so you can peer down, you know, that's a slightly different thing. But if you're building it complete, or you're putting it on a seascape, then you need to have figures on it. So wooden ships on a seascape with no figures, that's also not so right. So there's a double-edged sword, and it's all those interesting nuances of the hobby that we can get stuck into talking about from time to time. But anyway, there you go. That's what's coming this week. I've been buying little bits and pieces with the model kit stuff budget that I know I'm going to be using in the future, rather than spending on some kits. Although there was a kit that caught my eye this week, 135 Kubel. I'm going to say it's Tacom, but it could be Meng, but I think it's Tacom. So it's a 135 Kubelwagen, built a couple of those in past years, but this one has 3D printed resin half track. So you've got the wheels at the front, but then you've got some modifications to the vehicle and a half track configuration on the back. So really handy on the eastern front in all the mud to give them some traction and what have you. And that looks different, looks interesting. With the 3D printed parts, I think it will be expensive, but that's what the model kit stuff budget's for. So yeah, that's why you're not seeing much in the way of kits, because actually I'm trying to reduce the stash. We've got a plan to sell quite a bit of the stash, and refocus things a little bit. But also, I only want to buy kits that are really buzzing, and that I know that are going to be of interest, and that I think you guys will be interested in. And I've got plenty of material on first impression, so I don't need to be focusing on that. So I can focus on some of the little bits and pieces that we need, and that ultimately you'll see on the channel anyway. So there you go, that is stash ads. Right, Q&A. We're going to do something a little bit different here this week. We'll go back to Q&A next week. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me about modelling, about how I do things, or you'd like to see me do things and show you techniques or whatever, then by all means put them in the comments, ask your questions, and we'll deal with them in a future video in this section. So anyway, I've got a question for you. So what we're going to do this week is I'm going to ask you a question, and then you can answer it in the comments. So going back to Master and Commander, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the surprise build, and you know, we get some lighting, and you know, I always plan ahead. So in my mind, I'm thinking, am I going to display her on what will likely be the acrylic display stand, or am I going to put her in a seascape, or am I going to put her on a different stand? If I'm lighting her, probably got to put her on a different stand. So that then lends itself to a seascape, but I don't want to hide the lower hull. No doubt she'll be coppered, so I don't know how do I want to display it. So I'm sort of thinking pedestals so that we can run wires inside. So that probably means wooden pedestals, so I can drill through and then go up into the hull. And we'll have to wait until we get the plans to have a look at how we could possibly do that. And that'll probably dictate the display. But that then got me thinking too, you know, should we put figures on it? And there are some iconic moments in the movie which would be really great if you could get some figures to do that. So my question to you is this: if you could pick a moment from the Master and Commander movie to depict on your wooden model of Surprise, what would be that moment? What would be the figures? Now, there are some really nice moments for me. There's the moment where towards the end, I think it's at the end of the film, where Captain Jack is stood with his foot on the bowsprit and the boat's going forward and he's looking out to sea holding the ropes. I think that's a nice moment. That would look great on your model, with Captain Jack holding the ropes, stood on the bowsprit. But you really need sails on it because it's moving through the sea, and I'm not sure it'd be quite as impactful on a static model without sails, although I do like the imagery of that. You've got the moment where the Doctor gets shot. I mean, you could capture that moment with the captain of the Marines and what have you, and the Doctor on the deck. That might be quite a fun moment to capture. You've got the cabin where you have them playing the musical instruments, so the double bass and the violin. That would be quite an interesting thing to capture in the rear cabin there. So when you look through the windows, or maybe even through the deck, depending on how the model gets done, you'd be able to see that happening. That would be really nice. But there's also some other moments as well, you know, that you could capture in there. So I don't know, what's your thoughts? If you could capture any moment in a set of figures for your HMS Surprise model, what would be the moment you capture? What's one of your favourite moments of that film that you could then put on there? And then this is just for fun. Don't expect that a company will come forward and go, yes, we'll make those figures. But just for fun, just interested to know what people would like. You know, I mean, you could have the Doctor doing the operation on that guy's head down in the hold with everyone piled in. That would be quite an interesting moment. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of iconic moments in that film, you know, and if you've got the skill, you could do the mast hanging over the back, acting as an anchor, and you know, that would be quite a nice little visual diorama to do. That would take quite a bit of effort, but it would be stunning to see. You don't often see wooden ships displayed in distress, which I often think is a bit of a shame, really, because you know, with all the ropes everywhere and splintered wood and stuff, it would be very, very eye-catching. You know, and in my head I'll do that one day, but when I come to sit in front of a model, this is never the model to do it on, because you've spent all this money on it and you want it to look great. So yeah, but maybe one day. Anyway, there you go. That's it for Q&A. I want you to answer my question. What would you do? What set of figures, what moment would you capture in that film? So it'd probably have to be an on top deck part. but you know, I don't think you'll be able to see the surgeon cutting an arm off on the model, for example. But you know, there's a number of scenes in the Great Cabin. There is fighting scenes that could be recaptured. There's scenes where they're up the mast. There's all sorts of stuff. So you let me know. I'd be interested to know. You know, is everyone going to say, yeah, I really want to see Captain Jack stood on the bowsprit? I think that would look awesome, because it would. I'm interested to know. So you let me know in the comments below. I think that will be fascinating. Right then, thank yous. We're coming to the end of the video for this week. And I'm just trying to think, is there anything we have not covered? So we've talked about Surprise, we've talked about my garden, we've done the stash ads. Nope, I think we are straight for this week. So I'm going to have a big push on Sherborne. I will be doing a group build update video, which will come out tomorrow, and we can talk about the updates. I meant to do it last week and didn't get around to it. So that's all coming soon. Lots of things happening. We're getting to an end of lots of ships, and we're going to see a different ship and an aeroplane before we get into a tank as well. So lots of things coming along, lots of new stuff happening. We've got some book reviews coming up soon of all sorts of things, not necessarily all focused on one subject. So several modelling related book reviews coming along. So all sorts of stuff. Make sure that you've hit the notifications bell so you don't miss anything. Hit the like button. It helps other people find the video, find the channel. And thank you very much for joining me. If you're in the UK, enjoy your bank holiday weekend, and wherever you are, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.